Sometimes I think about, I'm getting to the gym super early in the morning. I'm fired up to get there. I'm fired up. I get up today, 3 a.m. I woke up at 2:45, went back to sleep. Alarm clock woke me up at 3. I get out the door circa a little bit longer than it usually takes me, so I'm out circa 3:40 on my way to the gym. I get to the gym and I'm about to embark on the pilgrimage that I do every single day, every day. There are no days off. And when I'm about to go on the crucible, the sled, loaded down with weight, typically 140 pounds. Today was 145 pounds, but I was using a different sled. And I'm about to engage in an activity that I do every single day. And I think to myself, how do I do this? And I think when others see me doing it, I'm sure they're wondering, how's he doing the same thing every single day? No change up, no break in the routine. It's just the same thing, day after day after day. And I think to myself, the monotony of it, the sheer boredom that comes with the routine of doing the same thing every day. And I'm on that sled, the crucible, where I connect with Christ, where I receive the transmission. I'm on it every single day for at least an hour. Today, I don't know how long, so total workout was an hour and 34 minutes roughly. And I was on the crucible for, I think it was 77 minutes. Sometimes it's 60 minutes. It could be anywhere between 60 and up to 80 minutes. It just depends how slow I'm going and how deep I go into the transmission. Because there are things I want to get off my chest, things I want to get out of my head, things that I want to pray on, things that I want to be grateful for. And it takes time. And so how do you embark, engage, and perform a routine that can become like drudgery to the point where you can't take it anymore? Because there are moments, I'm human, there are moments where before I get here, I think to myself, how am I going to do it? And the way I do it is that, so there's two things. The first thing is this: you got to get yourself a mantra. Now, this is something that we do in meditation. Not that I would call this meditation, but it's not the type of meditation most people think about. When you think about meditation, you think about transcendental meditation, typically. There are other forms of meditation, but typically the most famous one is probably transcendental meditation. And I actually did a podcast where I talk about healing the body with the mind. And I get into the studies on transcendental meditation. If you want to check that out, go to the Alpha Human podcast where I talk about it. Healing the body with the mind. Healing the body through Christ. Healing the body through prayer. Christ said, you move the mountain, it moves. If you say, with faith, all things are possible through Christ. And if you have faith like the mustard seed knows it will grow into what it's meant to become. If you have that kind of faith and you say, the mountain shall move from here to there, the mountain will move. When Christ said to the fig tree, be damned, because there's no fruit on the tree, be damned, you will never produce fruit. The fruit tree withered up right before the disciples' eyes, right before the people's eyes. And when one of his disciples, I believe it was Peter, came to him and said, how did that happen? How did that happen? You said it and it happened. And Christ told him, about having faith like you would in the mustard seed. Like the mustard seed has faith, you must have that kind of faith, and the mountain moves. But you must have a mantra. In transcendental meditation, to achieve that state, whether it be whatever you call it, the state of Zen. I'm not an expert in transcendental meditation by any means. But when you want to get into the zone, when you want to get into flow state, what I have found works for me is what they do in transcendental meditation. And that is, you have a mantra. I'm going to give you my mantra. I'm going to tell you what my mantra is. This is how I start my routine on the crucible. When I get on that and I set off on my way, 1,000 yards back and forth for anywhere between 60 to 80 minutes of just going back and forth, being alone with nothing more than my thoughts. I don't have these in. I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm not listening to music. I'm not getting pumped up by the beat. In fact, I'm drowning out the beat that's playing in the background of this cavernous, massive gym with the speakers and the bass pumping like it's a nightclub at 3 a.m. in the morning. You come in here at 2:30, 3, 4 in the morning, this place is pumping. And I get so deep that it all gets blocked out. But I have a mantra that kicks me off. And I'm going to give that to you. Because what happens in transcendental meditation, and whenever you look to get into the zone of flow state, at least for me, what ushers it in is a mantra. And you keep saying the mantra over and over and over again until you leave this plane of existence, until your consciousness disconnects. And you get into the zone, you get into flow state. And so what happens for me is I say the mantra over and over again, and what it does is it kicks off a series of other mantras, of other prayers that I have, praying on a number of things. And then what eventually happens is, as I meditate on what I'm grateful for, on what I'm praying about, and about what I'm contemplating, all of it wrapped in, intertwined with Christ and his teachings and his revelations and epiphanies, all of it. But as I move through this, it all starts with the mantra. So here's my mantra. I kick off every session with thanking Christ for coming into my life, my heart, my soul, my spirit, my mind, and my body. And I say that mantra as I'm moving in the crucible for 1,000 yards. I say it to kick things off until it hits that cascade when I naturally, and there's no set amount of times I say this mantra. It just, something starts to happen naturally where after I say it a certain number of times, and there's no number, it just happens. I move into other prayers and it all becomes natural. It all becomes like a reflex, and I start to let myself free flow into these other prayers that I have, these other contemplations and meditations that I have. And throughout, I start receiving new epiphanies, new learnings, new teachings. Christ downloads these revelations and these ideas and these visions to me as I do this. And so the first part of making this possible, of me disconnecting from the drudgery and routine and humdrum nature of doing the same thing every single day, the same routine, the same workout routine every single day, with respect to that first 60 to 80 minutes. After that, I do other things. But in that first 60 to 80 minutes of moving that weight with such force, pain, slowness, preciseness, intention, that it would drive most people crazy. Because people must look at me like I'm nuts when I'm on this thing. But it doesn't matter, because I lose myself. I disconnect, and the mantra sets it all off. And so I say, thank you, Christ, for coming into my life, my heart, my soul, my spirit, my mind, my body. And I say it over and over and over again, and eventually, boom, I move into these other prayers these other contemplations, these other meditations that I'm having. Again, all wrapped and intertwined with Christ, his teaching, his epiphanies, his revelations, my life, what I'm grateful for, what I pray for, what I pray on. And the second thing that makes it all possible is that I get to a place where in contemplating and in meditating on these things, and there are a number of other things that I say that are the same. I'll talk about those, and you've heard me say them actually in many of these videos. But there's a number of other things when I pray, whether it's on how grateful I am, or whatever it is I'm praying on, or whatever it is I'm contemplating. There's a number of things that I'm saying that you could say are also mantras, but they're secondary and tertiary mantras. But the one that kicks it all off is, thank you, Christ, for coming into my life, my heart, my soul, my spirit, my mind, and my body, and it sets the stage. And so the other thing that makes this all possible and disconnects me from the drudgery of it is that I get lost in the visions and the epiphanies and the revelations and the conversation that I have with Christ. I disconnect from this temporal plane, from this transient existence. And so I'm no longer here when I'm doing it. Sometimes I walk out of those, don't get me wrong, there are moments when I'm in it where I've been away for 10 or 15 minutes and I'm back in reality because someone snaps me out of it. Sometimes I'll have this one individual says to me as he's leaving, "You take care, brother," and boom, it snaps me out of it. Or some music, some song that I know, that the beat that's been drummed into me for 30 years from a song I've known for a long time blares and snaps me out of it. And so that meditation, that contemplation, that power of the mind to disconnect again, I've become so good at it that I can wipe it all away and move in and out of these flow states. But another thing that makes it all possible is as I move deeper and deeper into these secondary and tertiary mantras, from time to time, I'll get new visions, I'll get new revelations, I'll get new instructions. It'll just naturally happen that I'll find a new conversation to have with Christ. And so what I'm saying today throughout those 60 to 80 minutes, the contemplation, the meditation, the prayers, the conversation that I have with Christ, today is different than it was last year, which is different than it was 3 years ago. And as I move through this in my contemplation meditation, I am pretty sure that a year from now it'll be different, because in very, very small measures I receive a new idea, a new thought, a new revelation, a new epiphany, a new instruction, a new learning. And I want to pray on that, and I want to contemplate that. And it could just be a simple thing. It's not and sometimes it's a grand revelation. It's like a key unlocking all the others. So it's deep, guys. It's super deep. But it allows me to disconnect from the drudgery and the routine of it all. And the side effect, don't get me wrong, is that I'm in the best physical shape of my life. This is the lowest body fat I've ever had, the most vascular I've ever been, the most fit, the best I've ever breathed, because throughout my workout, I'm only breathing through my nose. I don't breathe through the mouth. And if I'm moving so hard and so fast that I would breathe through the mouth, then I'm doing it wrong. Because part of meditating and part of, in my opinion, activating some really powerful processes in the body, especially nitric oxide and blood flow, and opening up those capillaries and bringing oxygen to the tissues and to the muscles. Depends on breathing through the nose, and meditation depends on breathing through the nose. And I believe that when you work out at a pace where you're breathing through the nose, you're burning body fat as opposed to glucose stores. And I want to burn body fat. And so it all It all works together in this process, but a side effect of all of this is I'm in the best shape of my life. But that's a side effect. The physical fortress that I'm building, the mindset fortress of being in flow state for 60 to 80 minutes every day, the mental tenacity and discipline, the steeling and hardening and strengthening of the mind that it develops is incredible, and the spiritual empowerment, the healing energy of Christ that floods every cell and molecule and every fiber of my being that comes from this is transcendental. I can describe it as best I can. Hopefully it's resonating with you. I'd love for you to start embarking on a mission like this. It begins with a mantra. It begins with a mantra. I hope you join me on the pilgrimage and the faith walk that I'm having with Christ, and that you walk with Christ with me as well. Because when you walk with Christ, you walk in the light. Because Christ is the light of this life, of which the darkness cannot fathom. Of which the darkness, as soon as God's light smashes upon it, it disintegrates, it evaporates. And so when you walk with Christ, you walk in the light because He is the light of this world. And when you are right with Christ, all is right in your world. And then you'll understand that Christ puts you where He wants you. And so wherever you are, that's where you're meant to be. And we are meant to be on the path of righteousness. The path that leads us to kingdom come, where there is no more war, there is no more division, there is no more hatred, there is no sickness or disease. There's only peace, there's only love, there's only kindness, meekness, and gentleness. There's only love, there's only good health, and there's everlasting joy and happiness amongst mankind. And where Christ lives among us, in the new earth He will usher in, where we can love Him, worship Him, we can glorify and honor Him with all of our words, deeds, and actions. In His kingdom come, in His new earth. That's where, this is the grand journey. This is the great epiphany of it all, that this temporal plane that we exist in is just a test, it's just a challenge. And that the true reality, the new earth, the one that comes after this, the kingdom come, that's what we're meant for. And so we must take on the challenge. We must walk with Christ. And how joyous this is. And so I pray that I can make it easier for you to find Christ. That I can illuminate in some way, that I can help in some small way to help Christ's children and lost sheep. Here, make that signal just a bit more audible so you can hear it. Because it's within you. You know, it's your conscience. It's telling you, your conscience is telling you, that conscience of yours is God. It's telling you what's right. It's telling you what's wrong. You may not be listening, but the signal's there. And if I could just amp it up just a bit so you can hear it, and perhaps somehow help you understand that whatever hole you find yourself in, whatever challenge or test you're facing, doesn't matter if it's a financial crisis, a relationship crisis, a drug or alcohol crisis, an addiction crisis, a crisis of faith, a health crisis. I've been through them all. I've been through every single one of them. Every one I've had. And Christ, at 57 years old, and 2 car wrecks with cancer and all the other challenges I just mentioned. 2 car wrecks worth of cancer. Kidney cancer, giant tumor ripped out of my left kidney, and the left kidney out. Almost 8 years ago, cancer came back. Almost 2 years ago, in my liver, ripped that out. I'm dealing with some liver issues now, which may be an effect of that. an effect of the damage done to my liver from having a chunk of it ripped out. We'll see. Could be an autoimmune reaction. Could be a number of things. All I know is my liver was in great shape after the surgery, after it recovered. Last summer it was in great shape, and then all of a sudden, could have been from a medication I was taking. I've talked about this before. I'm not going to belabor the point. And I don't take medications. I took a stupid medication that didn't even, and all the preaching I do about knowing what you're putting into your body, who would have thought I took a foot cream for a plantar's wart? Who would ever check the side effects of a foot cream? Check everything. Because they gave me a skin cancer medication for a effing plantar's wart, which was an immunotherapy, which could have, I don't know, but I do know that while I was on that, my liver enzymes shot through the roof. And one of the side effects of this skin cancer medication, which I'm taking for a plantar's wart, I didn't even check into what it was. The doctor just gave me a foot cream. Who checks a foot cream? But that could have triggered an immuno reaction, an autoimmune issue. So I could be dealing with that. Who the hell knows? The point, people, is that I've been through all the crises, including massive health crises, and I am here today, stronger, more empowered, more knowledgeable, more enthusiastic, more inspired, more elevated, more transcended than I have ever been in my life. And Christ has lifted me higher and higher and higher. And I'd love for you to walk with me on this straight path and to help me make the path straight, as John the Baptist said. Make the path straight. He is coming and he will return. We are living in the days of Noah. Have no doubt about that. Just turn on the news if you want to know the state of things, where we are, the division, the hatred, the chaos, the war. We've been at this for ages. We've been at this for ages. And it's all coming to a head. It's all coming to a head. Are you ready? Get ready. Are you steeled for the battle? The battle of the ages, the fight of our lives, the fight for our souls, the fight for kingdom come, which has already been determined. The outcome has been set in stone. Christ conquers all, and we will live in the new kingdom. All we are asked to do is love, worship, honor, glorify Christ with all of our hearts and souls, and love our neighbors as we would ask Christ to love us, and forgive our neighbors their trespasses against us as we would ask Christ to forgive our trespasses against him. And that's it. That gains us entry. That opens the door for us to have everlasting life and enter the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom come, the new earth. So I would love for you to come on this journey with me, and it starts with a mantra. Think about it, contemplate it, determine what your mantra is. Just start contemplating. It will come to you. You will know it when it hits you. It will allow you to do amazing things. It will set you off on a journey. It will allow you to connect in a way you never thought possible. Stay strong. Stay relentless. Tune in. Tune out of the diversions and distractions of this world. And tune in to Christ's transmission. It's ever present 24/7. Just turn to that channel. Tap into that signal. You will receive the epiphanies. You will receive salvation. You will witness Christ. Stay relentless. Stay hungry for Christ. Sunny Mindset.